talk about something all of us veterans have been very upset about. It's by Arab Muslim Ethnicities. Diaspora Studies has not been able to accomplish basically what it was recruited to do. I want two students from San Francisco State to speak to my place because they know more about this taking place than I do. Jules Rassif of the Third World 2016 and Union Medal of the General Union of Palestine Students. I will be brief. Dr. Rabab Al-Gahadi didn't ask to come here. She was recruited by the Dean of Ethnic Studies from a university in Michigan in 2006. It's been almost 14 years later, and the university or the College of Ethnic Studies have not fulfilled the promise of 2-line positions or supported her being attacked 3 times with posters throughout the college. And other Palestinian students' lives are white supremacists and fascist elements outside the campus. So I want right now, give them some microphone. I want here right now. Luna Madar and
Thank you, Terry. Thank you to all the strikers for creating the College of Ethnic Studies. Your work is so appreciated and also must still continue. In 2016, I went on hunger strike with 3 other members, but I want to acknowledge that there were so many other student organizers who often do not get to speak, including Libna, who was a member of the General Union of Palestine Students. So I kind of want to give my time to them to speak about the work that they did and have done and the repression that the GUPS has been experiencing for their entire existence on campus.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Murad. I was a former member in the General Union of Palestine Students. I am also currently in the Palestinian Youth Movement, and I graduated here in 2017. I just want to say thank you for having me on this panel. And when it comes to GUPS, and I want to say that GUPS and AMED are also 2 different programmings. GUPS is an organization that exists here on campus. AMED is an institution that harbors Palestinian knowledge and a decolonial trajectory to Arab identities in terms of Muslim and the different ethnicities that are also carried in the Arab dimension. GUPS has a very long institutional memory and history here at San Francisco State, but something that is also deeply important to understand is that when we talk about repression and when we talk about, I think it was Roberto earlier who talked about administration.
Close to the mic.
I'm too close?
Yes. Close to the mic.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. When he talked about administration and kind of the tools of administration carrying on these different mechanisms of repression, GUPS has actually always been the starting point of repression for San Francisco State University. And that includes any kind of work that's being done and targeted around an anti-Zionist framework, a decolonial framework, a framework that is inherently positioned to talk about the repression that's happening inside of Palestine, the colonization of Palestine, the land grabs that are happening from the Israeli Defense Forces and the occupation in and of itself. And for some reason, when it comes to Palestine and when it comes to Arabs and when it comes to Muslims here at San Francisco State University, everything is social justice except for the fundamental keys that are actually related into Palestine work. So that means that students that are doing Palestine work, professors that are doing Palestine work, organizers and activists that are in Palestine work, it becomes the #1 target of not only administration, but also in the ways that Palestinian students actually organize on campus. Some of you may or may not know about Defend and Advance Ethnic Studies, but something that's really important and crucial about Defend and Advance was that there was many different criteria, there was many different demands that was asked during that particular time period, and one of them was around AMED, being able to establish AMED which is the Arab Muslims, Ethnicities, and Diaspora program, having faculty lines for AMED, for it being its own course within, or for it essentially being its own minor, major within the College of Ethnic Studies. With that, the university, and because it was a part of the Defend and Advance Ethnic Studies, some of the demands, many of the things were actually never met during these times of the demands. So when Jules was talking about how, you know, there was a lot of contention during that time, this was actually one of them, in terms of the way that our Professor Rabab Abdelhadi was being attacked. Students were being attacked that were not only a part of the AMED department, but that were also organizers in the General Union of Palestine Students. And actually the university took it to their own hands to actually also, in one way or another, try to sanction students that were a part of the General Union of Palestine Students, took them to conduct proceedings when the students, part of the student body that was also a part of Defend and Advance Ethnic Studies, decided to hold a protest to boycott and to essentially protest the mayor of occupied Jerusalem, who is a warmonger. And the only two students that were sanctioned out of the entire Defend and Advance Ethnic Studies in terms of that movement that was happening in that particular time were the two Palestinian students that were organizing in GUPS. Right? So it's actually extremely interesting when we're tying the two, because of the fact that if we're thinking about what it means for self-determination, and if we're thinking about what it means to have a decolonial struggle and be a part of the third world, to be a part of a third world struggle here at San Francisco State University, I think that we also have to understand that Palestine is not only in and of itself its own way of how we look at liberation, but it's actually part and partial as a part of a social justice framework. Just as the same way as we look at Black liberation, the same way as we look at, you know, indigenous liberation, the same way as we look at many other different liberation struggles globally, we also have to understand that Palestine is part and partial of that social justice framing. One of the things is that when we were here at San Francisco State University, Jules and I, not only were we participants in many of the work that was happening, but along the line of also many students that had participated, whether they were from San Francisco or whether they were from other parts of California or even around the nation. It became a very important moment for many students that never even really thought of themselves as actually being oppressed people, where we were able to actually learn from one another, where we were able to do workshops with one another and really do work that was needed and necessary among students that we felt like at the moment, and I'm pretty sure some of y'all might feel this way now, that administration was actually not able to provide for us, and some of our professors were not even able to provide for us. And it's really important that student voices and the role that students play here at San Francisco State University is always the centering of the way that we look at liberation movements globally, and when we study them, and also when we continue to a free and just land globally, and that includes a free Palestine.